Hi, I'm Stevi. I'm one of the counselors here at Monarch Counseling and Wellness, and I wanted to talk about grief and grief therapy and who can benefit from it. So first and foremost, grief is an incredibly complex thing, and we encounter it inevitably as humans. Grief is, of course, the loss of something. A lot of times we think about it as death, and that can be the death of a loved one, of a pet, of a coworker. Grief also looks like the loss of other things, like a loss of kind of a sense of self or identity. We grieve our old towns when we move to a new town. We can even grieve our old homes when we move. So grief looks, or it appears, in a lot of different areas of our life. And to shed some more light on that today, I wanted to share some examples of my personal kind of brushes with grief. So the first example that I have comes from 3 days before Christmas, my freshman year of college. My childhood home burned. And at that time, I didn't quite realize that it was grief that I was encountering. But since then, I've learned that I was grieving the loss of all of these things that will never return, that like our childhood videos, or our home videos, all of the things that I've collected from school, my toys, our yearbooks, books in general, all those things. And at the time, it was an incredibly impactful experience, of course, but I didn't quite recognize it as grief until later. And my second example is somewhat similar. I did not realize it was grief in the moment. This comes from a loss of a sense of security and safety. My junior year of college, my apartment actually got shot into. And a long story short, my former neighbor, someone was shooting at him, and the person who was shooting at him came around the back of the apartment and miscounted the windows and ended up shooting into my apartment while I was asleep. And so I woke up the next morning and I see the bullet holes in the walls, and I realize, okay, I don't feel safe in my home anymore. I've got to get out of here. And at that time, it was much more of a shock than it was anything. But since then, I've realized that was grief. I was grieving my sense of security. And it's something that I've definitely carried with me in other places that I've lived, is kind of being more aware of that. So all of that to say, those examples I hope have kind of broadened the definition of grief a little bit. And I just want to reiterate that it is an incredibly complex thing to deal with. It can be hard to navigate, and we all probably definitely need some support with it from time to time. So with that being said, while we're navigating our grief, I want to make sure that it is known that there is no wrong way to grieve. As long as it doesn't hurt you or someone else, grieving can take whatever form you need it to be able to feel those emotions and let them flow through you as you're grieving. So I would love to help you on your grieving journey and support you with it.